Good morning, everyone joining. We'll just give it a minute and wait for a few more people to join before we get started. Good morning, everyone coming in. All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Before we get started, I'm just going to run through a few things on our end. So please note this webinar will be recorded and all attendees will be muted throughout the webinar. And to ask any questions, please use the Q&A facility at the bottom of your screen. And when the webinar ends, you'll be directed to complete a short survey for us. This will take less than a minute to complete and your feedback will be anonymous. And if you've dialed in as a guest today, you can view more information about becoming a member and having access to more events like this at www.sapusers.org/register. And if you have any questions, please contact us at support@sapusers.org. I'll hand over to Stefan and Alexander now, who will take you through the rest of this webinar.
Perfect, thank you. So, welcome to our experience report on the current archiving system migration project at Kärcher. I'm Alex, I'm 34 years old. I've been working for KGS for almost 2 years, in the SAP area. And I will present the webinar together with Stefan. We have an agenda today. First of all, Stefan will introduce Kärcher, so you know something more about the company for the people they don't know Kärcher. I'm introducing KGS by myself. And then, of course, the third part is the maybe most interesting part for you. We are talking about the project. We are giving you some facts and numbers. After that, we are presenting the next steps. And of course, at the end, you will be able to ask all of your questions. Please write it in the chat. We have some minutes left for the Q&A session, and we will answer, or we will try to answer all of your questions. Exactly.
Alex, we still see slide number 1.
Oh, so it's not working.
As expected, nope.
As expected, so this is the agenda.
That was the agenda you already introduced.
And now Stefan will start with the introduction of Kärcher.
Thank you very much. Also a warm welcome from my side. Please go one slide back, Alex. Some words about this nice picture. This is the Irene Kärcher Plaza at our headquarters in Winnenden, near Stuttgart, in the southern part of Germany. Irene Kärcher was the wife of Alfred Kärcher, the founder of the Kärcher companies. Kärcher was founded 90 years ago from Alfred Kärcher near Stuttgart. And yeah, we're very proud to have there this nice headquarter in this metropolitan region of Stuttgart. Do you know Kärcher? So in many countries, to Kärcher is also a verb. So you have the possibility to use this in your daily speech. To Kärcher means you clean something with a high pressure cleaner. And it's also part of the Duden, or in French, it's the Le Petit Robert, or in Austrian, we have the ÖVB. So they are something like the Oxford Dictionary. And we're really proud of it to have this verb, to Kärcher or to Kärcher, inside those dictionaries. So it's present also in our daily speech in Germany. When you clean something with high pressure, you Kärcher. And I think that's very special. Not many companies have that possibility to use their own company name as a verb in so many languages, especially not only in German. But what's Kärcher behind? Some facts and figures. We're celebrating this year our 90th birthday from the Kärcher company. We are growing year per year. So last year, 2024, we have more than 3.4 billion of revenue. We have more than 17 companies in 85 countries. We have 17 production sites all over the world, but the most are located in Europe. But Kärcher is not only a cleaning company. We have also many subsidiaries outside this cleaning area, especially Kärcher Future Tech, which builds beds and tents for crisis area, especially for the Red Cross worldwide. We help them in many regions around the world. We also have a subsidiary called Interpool, which is located in Berlin, which is a recruitment agency. And we have a subsidiary called Zoe. Zoe is an IT consultant company with more than 500 employees located near Stuttgart. And Zoe helps us also a lot in our transformation project to S4 and also in our archive migration.
Exactly. Zoe is a very important part in our project. And now I will move forward with the introduction of KGS. Yeah. First of all, for all the people that don't know KGS, we are more than over 25 years on the market. So we have over 25 years experience in the SAP archiving market. We are since then only doing archiving, nothing on the left, nothing on the right. Our headquarter and management is located near Frankfurt, and we are working around the world from our headquarter in USA, UK, and in the Nordics. We don't see ourselves as a market leader when it comes to ECM because we are operating in a niche market. That means we are only delivering solutions for SAP archiving. We are not a document management system. We are an archiving system. And we are specialized in archiving. That is exactly what our customers pay for. We were the first vendor to be certified by SAP for the CMIS interface. Normally, you archive when you are archiving on-prem or in the public cloud, you are able to archive via Archive Link. But when it comes to the public cloud, Archive Link is not, you are not able anymore to archive via Archive Link. CMIS is the interface which replaced Archive Link. And we were the first company to be certified by SAP for CMIS. So we always try to be a technology leader when it comes to SAP archiving. Our client portfolio, you see this here, Kärcher is a special customer, and I'm very lucky that Kärcher is now part of our portfolio. But of course, we have every customer they have which has SAP in use as a possible customer for our company, because most of them has to be archived, especially in Germany, especially in Europe. And yeah, we have blue chip customers like BMW, for example. But of course, we have smaller customers too, for example, with several gigabytes. We have customers, they have an archiving system with almost 1 petabyte, for example. And this is possible because of our very flexible licensing model. We try to simplify the licensing for our customers for archiving, and of course the infrastructure for archiving. This is our USP. And you have only to pay for the attachment, documents, and data you have really stored on your storage in the cloud, public, private, or on-prem. That means you don't have a vendor login, or we don't see the number of accesses, for example. And this simplification results in significant cost savings for our customers. Our customers pay only for what they use. And on the next slide, I explain in simplified form how the technology of our solution is structured. Yeah, and of course, the number 500 customers is, yeah, I do think a good number for a company. With traditional legacy systems, ECS systems, you have additional databases and a much higher, much more in the infrastructure like our solution has. That's one of the main reasons why Kärcher changed his solution for SAP archiving, why Kärcher is now our customer and not the customer of the ECM system anymore, because we simplified the architecture, the infrastructure of Kärcher in this area. We have a direct connection to the roles and rights infrastructure for the leading application of the leading application. You see this here. We have different applications are possible with the solution. So the solution is very flexible. It's a middleware layer. Most of our customers, maybe all of our customers, are using SAP, of course. Some customers are using parallelly the SharePoint connector to archive SharePoint, and we are REST API Salesforce. And you see on the storage side that we can work on-prem and in the cloud. We are very flexible. We try to do any-to-any, so any application to any storage. Any application, mostly SAP, to any storage, on-prem, Dell, NetApp, for example, or in the cloud, Azure and AWS. And I mentioned it before, we are certified for CMIS, so you can use our solution not only on-prem, we are archive link, or in the private cloud, we are archive link. You can use it also in the public cloud, we are CMIS. For Kärcher, there was an important point on top, was the topic migration. I do think it's a small information, important information on top. We have a migration tool that runs completely automatically and without any downtime of the SAP system. So if you have, because we have now a project, we are migrating several, for another customer, several hundred terabytes, almost 1 petabyte from one ECM system to our content server. And that takes a bit time. And we can do this completely automatically with no downtime and while the daily business. Now to the project.
Thanks, Alex. So here in this picture, you can see Kira. It's an independent cleaning robot designed and manufactured by Kärcher in Germany. Kira can work the whole day and the whole night, like our SAP and archiving systems. So this is one of the bigger cleaning solutions we have. To the project itself, what was our initial situation? 1.5 years ago, we have all our sub and archiving systems hosted and operated by a managed service provider near Frankfurt. The managed service provider provides us the whole landscape, the whole infrastructure, and also the necessary licenses, especially for the full-blown ECM system. ECM with an own database, with many application servers, with a very complex and maintenance-intensive infrastructure behind. This was also cost-intensive because the license was not very transparent for us as a customer, and also all the tools included in that license were many things we don't need in our daily work. And also the structure behind with a database was not necessary for our requirements. And we had some other situation that the former managed service provider decided to deprecate his data center in Frankfurt. And that was our initial step to decide that we want to move to a hyperscaler, in our case, AWS. And with this switch of infrastructure underneath, we want to go to the next step of infrastructure in the future. So we want to use the real functionality of AWS. So in that case, we want to get rid of the database of the ECM system. We want to reduce the ECM system itself only on this archiving functionality. Also reduce the infrastructure and complexity behind what goes only with this full-blown ECM system. Cost reduction was a part to move in the cloud, and also the scalability. And we want to use the cloud-native architecture, which was provided by AWS. And at the beginning, I already spoke about Zoe as our IT consulting company. It was also important for us that so we can manage the operations in the future. Also SAP on AWS and our archiving system. And that was one step towards KGS, because with KGS it's a little bit more flexible and easier to handle this archiving topic there. Also on the AWS landscape, we want to use infrastructure as a code, that we can use something like hot deployment. All our systems are scripted, so we can only press a button and deploy directly a new system in the AWS cloud, also for our KGS archiving services. We want to use all the topics behind AWS, especially with S3 buckets for our storage. In S3 buckets, you can also define a retention period. So now we have not only the retention period in the software, we have it also in the storage level. It was important for us, what Alex already mentioned, to have the CMIS interface ready. Right now, we are migrating brownfield to an on-premise S4 landscape, not on the cloud version. But it could be in the near future that we also switch to the public cloud with our SAP system. And in that case, it was very important for us to be ready for the future with a CMIS interface or CMIS interface. From the infrastructure perspective, it was important to have a real monitoring of our archiving system. The former ECM system has not the possibility to give us any feedback about the load of the system itself. With KGS, we have monitoring endpoints. We can connect directly our central monitor system, Sabix, to this archiving system and get all the information about the load, about the data, about the storage, everything we can grab directly. And from our ITIL perspective, it was important to have a dedicated test environment, that we can perform every change, every update in a first step on a dedicated test environment and a dedicated AWS test account. And with the license model from KGS, this was easier to deploy, and it's easier to handle this whole environment because it's not that cost intensive from the license side and also from the effort side of the managed service operations. But each project has also some challenges. We have the archiving project in parallel. We have a S/4HANA transformation of our ERP landscape, and we have the cloud migration to AWS. This has a very high business impact because it's not possible to shut down your archive for days or for weeks for migration. The migration needs to be done in the background, and each archive document needs to be accessible at any time. And also a big challenge for us was, we now have SOE as our managed service provider for the archiving system. So they need to build up a CMIS know-how, the know-how about cloud archiving. It was also necessary in our own IT department to have their mind change behind. We have their new technology stack underneath with the AWS cloud, with many functionality we need to understand and we need to implement there. And we want to switch to a unified central archiving solution for our whole landscape.
And not only Kärcher had challenges in the project, of course, for us, we have always several challenges. In this project, we have here 4 points on the slides. Of course, Stefan mentioned it before, the topic of migration is very important for Kärcher, because it's difficult to have for a productive company a downtime, or for other companies, of course, too, a downtime of 1 day or several days while the migration is happening. And we were able to handle this via our migration tool, of course, the scalable cloud setup in AWS, and the bottlenecks in the current systems were high challenges, because we are always the existing ECM system, maybe when it's not working, when it's working a bit slower, maybe in writing or reading than our system, there can be some changes in the project, and the performance gain was a very important point for Kärcher. The performance while the migration, of course, we had to increase the performance while the migration, and the requirement of Kärcher was to increase the performance while a completely archiving process for the users. And of course, progressive go live of the migrated repositories was a challenge too. But thanks to our lean architecture, we were able to streamline streamline the archiving process and thus increase the performance. How this works, I will explain it in the next slide. I mentioned it earlier, we have simplified the infrastructure at Kärcher. So you see in the crew field, the architecture of an ECM system, and the green field, the architecture of our solution. The crew field is the architecture of an ECM system that Kärcher was using before they changed to our solution. And because I mentioned it before, we can use a lot from SAP, such as the roles and rights infrastructure and, for example, the front end. We deliver more or less than other competitors or other solution partners in this area. And so we can, for example, we have a direct connection to the rights and roles infrastructure of SAP. We have a direct connection to the sub GUI of SAP. Here you see this on this example. We can say, for example, an archive server and a database. Our infrastructure is more simplified than this of the existing ECM system. As a result, we are already, I mentioned the one database, for example, an archiving server. And you not only have it easier, or Kärcher not only have it easier when it comes to the migration I mentioned before, because it's completely automatically written, completely automatically error mirroring, for example. And because of the leaner landscape, of course, you have less to migrate, but also you have it easier to manage the solution while the user. Nevertheless, the solution is completely audit proof. Some facts and figures about our joint project. You see this here. Some numbers for the archiving project. We had to connect 10 productive systems, 10 productive SAP systems to our content server. All together, we had attachments and datas, above 60 terabytes. The requirement of Kärcher was, of course, no operational interruption, and this was possible thanks to our proxy server functionalities. We had 100 content repositories, and this was all possible with one consultant from our side and 2 employees from the side of Kärcher. So the number of people is really very small for an implementation project of our solution. And the 2 employees of Kärcher that were not full-time involved in the project. So you see the effort for the migration is not so high, and the effort, of course, to manage solution is not so high, because we automated so many processes, and our goal is to deliver a stable solution. Our developer, our consultants are working every day only for that strength of our solution and to automate the most points for the migration and to automate the most points for managing this solution.
What was affected from the Kärcher side? So Alex already mentioned 10 productive systems. You see here an overview of our archive relevant system landscape. We have on the left side the ERP landscape. So we have one central headquarter system. We have one central development system, the DZ1, and then per region, one dedicated landscape. So one for Europe, America, Pacific, and the Middle East. All those systems are now connected to the archive. So one archive for the productive line, one archive for the quality assurance line. And we also decided to have much more landscape connected to the archive to also perform there some archiving jobs. So right now we have a global trade system connected, the enterprise warehouse management, a business warehouse and master data hub, and also a human capital management system. All those systems are SAP based. That was the easiest way from us. So we are only responsible for the SAP operations at Kärcher, but it's also possible to connect other systems around the SAP environment to the KGS archive. Especially our ERP landscape is important here for the next steps. Here you can see the non-profit cleaning, which do Kärcher around the world. Those steps in the background are the steps from the Cathedral of Erfurt, and we are cleaning monuments around the world as a non-profit topic to help us to save those structures. What's important at our S4 transformation? So we have there the S4 core in the middle. You see the yellow tile, and we have many projects around our S4 transformation. So our S4 transformation is already running, and we would go live with the first system beginning of next year. But there are still many tiles around which needs to be clarified. We have the code retirement, we have the add-ons, we need to adopt Fiori, we have the business technology platform, and also Kärcher is working with Google Workplace. So we have no office at our company. So the Google integration is a very important part of our future architecture. But you can see there also archiving is a big part, because we have many systems in our environment. And if the system is too big or is bigger than expected, then the migration to S4 took too long. And this is also a very important topic for our database reduction. So next slide, please, Alex. Right now we have a 12.5 terabyte productive HANA database. And our goal is to reduce this capacity in the HANA database from 20%. This is important to speed up the conversion itself, because if the system is getting bigger and bigger, it's expensive also at the hyperscaler side, and you need more time for the S4 transformation. But we are fighting many topics around the world, because there was a big misunderstanding. I told at the beginning we have 117 companies in 85 countries around the world. And in some countries, there was the misunderstanding that archiving means we print out the documents and archive them physically anywhere in Germany, in Winnenden at our headquarters, and that the archive documents are not longer accessible for them. And it was really a mind change around the world necessary, that the archive document can still accessed from everywhere, that it's possible inside SAP to get access to an archive document. And I think that was the most important part in our archiving project, to get this knowledge around the world, that it's really possible to get these documents accessible. But now we are at the stage, all the subsidiaries around the world needs to provide us the information what needs to be archived, because yes, from the headquarters side, we know a lot of processes around the world where we have the potential to archiving, but there are also legal requirements in some countries, and we need to keep the data for years and also delete the data after a retention period. And those informations we are currently collecting around the world, but it could be still possible to reduce more than 20%, because our oldest system is running since 25 years, and we also have many informations and data inside the system which is still not necessary anymore. So we can also delete some informations about old processed iDocs, but also all those informations needs to be collected and are very important for our ongoing archiving project. What's the wrap up? Clean the chairs for the summer. It's one important thing. Hopefully also at your side. In Germany, it's getting hotter and hotter the last days. What we achieved together. So we really reduced the complexity of our archive system to drop the database and only have really a archiving system without all those ECM functionality around was important for us and makes the operations much easier. We have no impact on the daily operations right now with our archiving system. It's only running in the background, and sometimes we do an update. That is everything. And this is also compares to another big section, the cost reduction. It's cheaper now because we only pay what we really need, so only archive and not all the other ECM stuff around. And also this reduce our costs in the daily operations.
Yes, and of course, one of the important requirements for Kärcher, one of the tools important was future ready. That's the title of this webinar. And yeah, Kärcher is from the archiving part, of course, future ready, because we are able, for example, they are now using the solution for Archive Link, but we are able to archive via Archive Link, but in the CMIS structure. So maybe when it's the plan, you don't know the plans of SAP, maybe they are pushing more and more the customers in the public cloud, for example. When this is the case, or your company is deciding, maybe we will run our systems maybe in 2, 3, 4, 5 years in the public cloud. You don't have to touch your archiving system again because, you have to adjust it, but you don't have to look for another archiving system because we are able to archive in the CMIS structure. Instead, we are archiving via Archive Link. So we are archiving via Archive Link, and when it comes to the public cloud and you have to archive in the public cloud, you are able to read the old attachment, documents, and data because we archived it in the past in the CMIS structure. So Kärcher is future ready if they are staying in the private cloud, now on AWS, or if they will run their systems and their archiving system in the public cloud. They are completely prepared. And of course, the no operational interruptions are very important. I mentioned before, for the most companies, this is not possible to have, or it's not, they are not happy about downtimes while migration. And yeah, we were able to have no operational interruptions. So we have a completely automatic migration from the old ECM system to AWS to our new content server. And yeah, I do think that we handled the completely project very good. I hope, Stefan, it looks like you are very happy about the project. We are happy about the project. We are happy about our new customer, Kärcher. And yeah, I do think that the wrap up is telling the most. We archived all of the defined goals. We archived, sorry. Are there some questions? Now we start to the Q&A session, and I will hand it over to our moderator from UK, Isaac.
Thank you. Yes, if there's any questions, please pop them in the Q&A section below and we'll get them answered for you now. There's one that's already in there saying, do you see any difference in solution approach across industries, e.g. higher education, for SAP data archiving?
Of course, you have, when I understand the questions right, you have special industries with higher protection, data protection rules, for example, for governments and so on. And yeah, I do think that there are some differences, but it's regarding of the industries, and of course all of the companies has to handle comparing to the data protection rules in their countries. so the system importance based, and then you have some small differences between the industries, but all of them, are using it in a similar way.
Perfect. There's another question that's coming now. How is your archiving solution different from other available solutions, like from OpenText?
This is a very, very good question. It's a similar example to Kärcher. I showed this in our slide before. The most important difference is, of course, the cost-saving factor and the simplifying between comparing to their architecture and infrastructure. Because we have a direct connection, for example, to the roles and rights infrastructure of SAP. We are only delivering what SAP don't have or don't have. So we are delivering much more or less than, for example, OpenText. OpenText has delivering their own front end, their own roles and rights infrastructure, and you have to manage and you have to pay for all of these functionalities, and you have to pay for most of the DMS, for example, functionalities when you are licensing the whole OpenText solution. And our solution is specialized only for the archiving topic. So Stefan mentioned it before. You only have to pay for the archiving functionality. So it's of course one point for the cost saving factor, and we are cheaper because of the leaner and leaner landscape. And these are the 2 points I do think was the highest difference between OpenText and our solution.
Perfect.
And we are of course fast in the migration, so that's one important point. But it's depending all of the same reasons because of our leaner landscape we are delivering and leaner functionalities.
Also, one hint from our migration. So the KGS archive was faster in writing the data via the migration than the old ECM system could read the data. So if the new solution is faster in writing than the old solution in reading data. And I think that's also the complexity behind.
Perfect. Thank you. There's one question coming now. Do Kärcher use SoftComp 1 table in ERP? Was there any challenge in size of the table, as SAP don't provide any archiving solution? If yes, have you moved this table to KGS content software? And was there any challenges in migration?
We have there some housekeeping jobs behind for the SoftComp 1, but I could provide you more information after the meeting. For that information, I need to clarify what we could share, but we have the solution for it. I will provide it after the meeting.
Perfect. Yeah, we will send all of the questions we cannot answer or cannot completely answer. We will send you after this webinar an email with all of the informations, without all of the left informations.
Perfect. We'll just give it a minute now, see if there's any other questions that the audience do have. If there's any last questions, pop them into the chat or Q&A box and we can get them answered for you. There's a couple here. What are the common mistakes in archiving projects?
Maybe, Alex, that's something for you, because I think in our project, there were no big mistakes. Most of the topics were planned very well.
So I'm thinking about it in our projects because we are preparing all of our customers very well. So we always have, before we start a migration or a proof of concept, for example, we deliver very deep technical informations, and we are always by side of our customers, and we start with some kickoff appointment, for example, kickoff meeting at the start of the project. So I'm not sure what are the common mistakes in an archiving project. Maybe to plan good enough before you start the project. For example, it's a completely greenfield project. What for data, what for attachments you want to archive, and how high you want to reduce the databases. These are very important informations, because of course we are consulting you. Okay, what for attachments? What are their retention times, and so on and so on. We consult you, but we don't know your whole system. You don't know your whole database, and so on. So it's very important to be clear. Okay, what is important to archive, what I need to archive before we start the migration project.
And there's one more that's just come in now. We're not yet in RISE. I haven't heard about CMIS or CMIS. Yes, I know it's not RISE anymore.
RISE is not always the public cloud. So okay, RISE, it's when you're hearing something about RISE, you're thinking always about the public cloud, but RISE is more than the public cloud. You can be on RISE, but you can be on the private cloud, for example. And you can archive when you are in the when you have your systems and your archiving system in the private cloud. You can archive still via Archive Link. You don't need CMIS. CMIS is a completely new interface that's created SAP with partners and with SAP partners to work better, for example, with metadata and so on. And CMIS completely replaced Archive Link for the public cloud.
Perfect. So as you said in here, thank you for the presentation. Sounds pretty interesting thing to do before one can embark on the journey moving to S4HANA. If you can keep the storage low, then it'll be a great business case to leverage the S4HANA technology.
Absolutely, yes. But the archiving to keep the storage low is independent from the S4 project, but it's a very good driver to have this project behind, because we can really have a faster migration.
Yeah, this is one very important point, because many companies are thinking about, okay, we have now an S4 project running, an S4 transformation running. We don't want to have an extra project on top to our S4 transformation project. And we see this for an example for Kärcher. We can do the S4 transformation faster, because you can reduce the database before you start the transformation to HANA, for example. And there's another cost saving factor on HANA cost saving factor, for example. It's a very increase. You're very much more faster, because you don't have to migrate the whole database when you are archived before. And because we have a very lean landscape, we simplify the infrastructure. You don't have an extra big project. You can run the migration completely automated. And you see this on the personal effort. We showed it in some slides before. Only 2 employees of Kärcher were involved. So, and not full-time. That was not a full-time job for them. And so you can easily do this while your S4 transformation. And I do think it's a good idea. It's very great to do this while or before the S4 transformation.
And there's just one more that's coming now. How long does a typical project take to implement archiving using TIA?
That's a good question. It depends. It's regarding, we see this here on the example of Kärcher. When we have an ECM, it depends regarding the ECM, the existing archiving system, of course. We calculate always 1 terabyte for 1 week, but we have now a migration project with one of my biggest customers. I mentioned before, we are migrating now almost 1 petabyte, and we do this with very fast, close over 35 terabytes per week, for example. But it's regarding of how the system is working, and of course how the existing archiving system is working. But our migration tool is not limited. So we have different threads and you can increase the threads.
Perfect. I'm not seeing any more questions coming in now. We'll just give it 30 more seconds, see if there is anything else to come in. Another one here. Can you archive the already archived data?
Can you archive? I'm not sure if I understand the question in the right way. Do you mean when we archive the archived data, maybe migrating from another archiving system to maybe to another content server, to another archiving system, from one archiving system to another archiving system? Of course, that's possible via our migration tool. But I'm not sure if I understand this question right. Maybe I have to take the question with me and will answer it via mail after the webinar.
There was some additional information.
If you have a different solution now, can we implement archiving using TIA?
So you mean a parallel operations of two archiving systems?
This is possible. We are working, for example, sometimes parallel to solutions like OpenText. This is possible, maybe or to other solutions when they need a document management system, for example, but they want to have an SAP specialized archiving system. Then you can use, of course, our solution parallel to such solutions and in a parallel way.
Perfect. We'll just see if there's anything else to come in. There's just one more here. Say you have open text right now, and if you want to move away from OT and move with TIA.
Yeah, this is of course possible. So we are used to replace to migrate from solutions like OpenText. We are replacing solutions like OpenText 50 to 100 times a year with our migration tool. This is completely possible and completely automated possible.
Perfect. Thank you. Just see if there's anything now to come in. Give you a couple of seconds longer, see if there is any more questions to come in. It's been quite a few questions for these today.
Thank you for the good questions.
Perfect. That seems to be all the questions that have come in. Once again, thank you, Stefan. Thank you, Alexander, for coming on today. Thank you all for joining, and we hope to see you again soon. So thank you.
Thank you also from my side. Have a great time.
Have a great time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.